How are you getting on, folks? Look at another fairly decent day today between Cheltenham and Sligo. There today we had some very very nice winners. Obviously the three in Sligo or Call Me Lyrene 10-3, Paula's Prayer 5-1, and Lady of the Sea at 16-1 went out actually even to a better price at 16-1. So overall, look at it was a very good day. It was a very profitable day. When you take into consideration then the few winners we had from Cheltenham then as well, it was, I suppose, better than nothing really at the end of the day. We I suppose turned the day into I suppose what looked to be a fairly tricky enough card, and turned it into profit. So overall, I'm fairly happy with that. Galway now tomorrow, and we're going to be covering, I suppose, a couple of races in Cheltenham as well. I'll be doing more, I suppose, races for Cheltenham with Owen tonight, and we'll be putting one of the races in Galway in with that video then as well, just to, I suppose, get out of jail if things go backward. But look at the first race off tomorrow in Galway, 140. We're going to take a little bit of chance here now, and we're going to go with Big's Belief at 9-2. This for me looks to be a pretty much tricky race to, I suppose, assess really. There's nothing in here that really shouts, I suppose, overall top class form. An awful lot of these have been well beaten in the past, and they don't look to be, I suppose, real superstar quality. I don't think there's any of these ever going to even taste the grass at Cheltenham, never mind actually go on and run it. But this Big's Belief here at 9-2 definitely looks a little bit interesting. I wouldn't say it's nailed on certainty, but it definitely looks to be one that's improving slightly. It ran on to be third last time out. I think it was something like 14 lengths behind the eventual winner, but the run that day actually turned out to be, I suppose, gradual improvement here. It's coming in to, I suppose, the race under Matthew Smith. Peter Carberry is a very interesting jockey booking. Is not, I suppose, one you'd associate with Matthew Smith a hell of a lot. I suppose you'd associate Peter more so with the likes of Stephen Mahon, but for me, this looks to be the most value horse of the race at the end of the day. I wouldn't be going head over heels into, I suppose, putting money down on top of it, but Matthew Smith likes it around Galway. Peter Carberry, obviously a very, very good jockey, but I suppose living a little bit in the shadow of Paul and Nina. And yeah, I definitely think it could be a good, decent run for the connections that have, I suppose, made Galway their fortress with One Cool Poet. So it's definitely very interesting at 9-2. The 212 then we are going to go with Belfast Banter at 9-2 again. I suppose there's a couple of markets here that you could really go down each way. He's touching 9-2, 5-1 in a couple of markets, but his last run there, he was consistent. Overall, he is consistent, but he is, I suppose, equally frustrating with that consistency. He looks to have the race in the bag, but I don't know. There's just something about him that I suppose would turn me off him a little bit. He seems to be a little frustrating to actually go about and actually win his race, more so than, I suppose, just lucky to be finishing second, third, or whatever the placing may be. I definitely think his last run was very good. I think it was Punchestown, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that one, but it finished third last time out, against a fairly decent sort. Really and truly, if it produces the same capabilities here, there's no reason why this horse can't go on and win it. There's an interesting one here from the Gavin Cromwell team that's owned by JP McManus that I think won a pint to pint. Looks a little bit interesting, but I don't know. I'd just be a little bit cautious to to go back into the 2-1. I definitely think 9-2 was better value there, and if you can find an each way market, the value is definitely there. And I definitely think he's going to put experience to the test here now tomorrow, and he should be well capable of going on to do the business and going on to, if not winning, put up a very, very good show for his money anyway tomorrow. The 322, we're going to bypass the next race, but we're going to cover that in the video with Owen. But the 322, we're going to go with Julie Stowaway. This one here is going to be the next best of the day, and currently is trading around the price of 2-1. It's coming up against a Charles Burns horse here now, Run for Oscar. It looks to be, I suppose, frustrating as well, more so than anything else really at the end of the day. Constantly favoured, but just not turning up on the day. This Julie Stowaway is definitely a very promising sort. It's an ex-pointer, 7th in the champion bumper in Cheltenham during the festival. That was behind the likes of Fernie Hollow, Appreciated. I think it was Queensbrook. It was either Queensbrook or the Boss's Oscar. I can't be 100% sure. I think I'm nearly nailed on sure it was Queensbrook. But all of those, if they haven't, I suppose, backed up the form, the three of them are potential superstars, and the three of them are definitely, I suppose, carry massive potential into their jumping careers. But when you look at Julie Stowaway here, she definitely has the best form in the book. She put up a fairly few decent, I suppose, bumper runs in her bumper years, but the fact that she's an ex-pointer is definitely something that I'd be very much taken on board here with this one. I think Paul Townend is going to know exactly what way he's going to run the race with her. Willie Mullins obviously has a great strike rate around Galway. And I think 2-1 is, although it's not much better value, it is definitely slightly better value than the favourite here at, I think, 11-8 the favourite is, compared to Julie Stowaway here at 2-1. I definitely think it's going to put in a very good effort. If it's beaten, I would be pretty disappointed, because considering the fact Run for Oscar has disappointed big time over the past, and I definitely think he is very much overpriced, really, in my opinion. But Julie Stowaway here, 2-1, definitely looks to be the next best of the day. Next race then, we are going to go on to Westerner Point, currently trading around 3-1. This for me looks to be a very, very good race. We are going with the favourite here at 3-1, mainly for the fact that aforementioned was only a few lengths ahead of it in Limerick during the Munster National. It put in a very, very good run that day. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was trading around 40-1. I didn't look at the prices, but I think it was a fairly big price anyway, whatever it was. Connections love it around here. They love, I suppose, getting winning horses around here. Philip Enright knows the Edward O'Grady horses like the back of his hand now at this stage. The two of them, when they combine, it always definitely catches your eye, and especially with this ownership coming into Ballybrit, it's definitely one that's taken my eye more so than most. And I think 3-1, look at you. You're looking for value. I definitely think 3-1 is great value. I don't think you're going to get 3-1 tomorrow come race time. It really should be very hard to beat, in my personal opinion. I think aforementioned is definitely going to be one to be following big time for the Cheltenham Festival, and I definitely think an each way at 50-1 for the National Hunt Chase now is definitely well within his range come, I suppose, March next year. But Westerner Point for this particular race looks to be one, I suppose, that will become very, very hard to beat. The 432 then, we are going to take an each way shout here now with this one. We're going to go with not so simple for the Norman Lee team here at 6-1. It's, I suppose, look at when you're putting it all into perspective, like it's a local yard that do fairly well around Galway. Not So Simple has been in very, very good form. Put up a string of seconds and thirds before actually going out to win a race. And he definitely lived up to his name that day. He didn't make it very, very simple at all, but really and truly, I think at an each way price, I think Norman is going to have this horse well primed tomorrow. Simon Turns takes the ride, which is going to be very, very interesting. Simon, obviously, in flying form of late. Norman is known to love having winners around Galway, and I would be surprised if he hadn't this race in particular, I suppose, in the back of his mind. And he should have Not So Simple fairly well primed tomorrow. 6-1 for me looks to be great each way value. I definitely think, look at with the form that he's running, he's run well on soft before, so any sort of rain would be, I suppose, welcomed really at the end of the day. I think each 6-1 is a great price, and an each way shout. The worst case scenario, if it gets into places, you'll be getting your money back with a little bit more on top of it. So 6-1 is definitely a nice price for an each way shout. The 507 then, last race of the day, we are going to take a chance here now with Part-Time Farmer. I suppose it's not really more of a chance, it's actually going to be the nap of the day. This horse is trading around 2-1. It was a very, very good, I suppose, second there in Punchestown last time out. On debut, it was very well fancied that day. It was heavily gambled on. Coming from Noel Mead yard, Noel Mead is known to, I suppose, love getting his winners around here. Finney Maguire on board. Finney is definitely one of the best, I suppose, amateurs in the game at the minute. It's definitely between, well, personally speaking, myself, my eye is always, I suppose, drawn to the likes of Patrick Mullins, Jamie Codd, but Finney Maguire is definitely hot in their heels really in third place. But I think, look at the fact that Noel Mead is in such great form, and the fact that he has such a great strike rate as well around Galway definitely puts it into perspective. I think the second last time out, he will come on from that, and I definitely think with Finney Maguire doing the steering, he should be very, very hard to beat. Shakespeare's Gallery in I suppose second favourite here. It's, I suppose, a decent enough. Well, it's consistent really at the end of the day, but it's just equally frustrating as well. Like, you couldn't really hang your hope on it at the end of the day when you look at Part-Time Farmer here coming in here. When you look, I suppose, at potential improvement, there definitely seems to be more potential in Part-Time Farmer than this Shakespeare's Gallery here. And for me, 2-1 is a great price for the last race of the day. Moving on then to Cheltenham, then I'll be doing 5 races with Owen Healy. So I'm going to leave out the 5 here now, but I'm just going to cover the last 2. We're not going to, I suppose, be too different than anyone else here. We're going to be, I suppose, following the favourites really at the end of the day, but the 2 of them are at fairly nice prices. Depending where you are, you might be able to get each way value for them. The 5 o'clock, we are going to go with Call Me Vic at 9-2. Once a very, very good chaser. I know, look at, he is getting on in life now. He's 13 years of age really at the end of the day. People would be, I suppose, questioning how he is favourite. Really and truly, my opinion is the fact that he's been running very, very credibly between the flags. He's put up a string of wins. He definitely shows to me anyway that he is in great form. Fergal O'Brien is a man that is in serious form. I think he's trading in around 30% of a I suppose win rate really at the end of the day. So when you look at it that way, like, you're looking at, I suppose, 1 race in 3, and I definitely think if he can get Call Me Vic back to where he was, Call Me Vic has won off marks much higher than what he is on. I definitely think there could be life in the old dog yet, especially with the way that I suppose he is really in such good form, Fergal, and he's got a good £7 claimer on Call Me Vic's back there now today, so the mark will even be lowered further, I think, by, if I'm not mistaken, £7. It's a tricky enough race to call, but look, I'm just going to go with a horse that's had winning form in the pints and fairly decent pints at that, and if running up to the mark that he used to be able to run at, I definitely think he is absolutely thrown in here, and 9-2 definitely looks to be, I suppose, a little bit of value. Really, there's so much value in this race here. It's hard to nail down one, but I think Call Me Vic could be definitely one to, I suppose, maybe cause a little bit of a shock or considering his age. But 9-2 definitely looks to be a fairly nice price about him. The 535, we are going to go with Smurfy Enki. This horse is trading around 4-1. I think from the Ollie Murphy team, if I'm not mistaken. Really and truly, you're looking for horses here in a bumper that have either shown form in pint to pints or else have good breeding or good racing ability behind it. This horse is well, I suppose you could say a failed Irish pinter. But since joining the team, there must have been some sort of revelation, or I don't know. There must have been some sort of prophet that came down and blessed this horse, because he went out and he won by 18 lengths the last time, and I suppose it was a little bit of a shock, considering that he couldn't win a pint to pint in Ireland. But possibly that just goes to show the quality of the pints in Ireland at the end of the day. Maybe just a little bit better. Well, I'd be biased and say they're much better quality than the ones over in England, but yeah, it just goes to show that this horse is better than what people thought. Any sort of replica of that race that he won by 20 lengths, you can't really, I suppose, argue the fact that he's going to win today. It's so hard to call with bumpers, because the fact that you might have something hiding in the clouds or a diamond in the rough, you just don't know really at the end of the day. This horse could turn out to be a very much a nag tomorrow at the end of the day. You look at the likes of Costellock-Moore, who ran in Punchestown after absolutely hosing up by, I think, 40 lengths in Listowel, and he ended up finishing, I think, 5th or 6th. Look at that's just the way the I suppose the cookie crumbles when you put it that way. But yeah, when you're looking at, I suppose, potential winners, you can't really look past this horse at 4-1. It looks great value here, and look at the end of the day, if the market's there for a quarter of the odds, you're looking at an each way value there. I definitely think if he's not going to win tomorrow, he's definitely going to place. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to finish up now, and I'm going to get ready for this Zoom call with Owen Healy. I leave a link in the description below to his, I suppose, his Facebook page, and I'll be posting that video then as well up on my own social media, the Facebook and the Twitter. But I think I'm going to leave it there. We've covered as much as we possibly can now, really, at the end of the day, and we're getting on a little bit now. We're touching close to 20 minutes now for the video, but I'm going to leave it there. Make sure to keep liking, sharing, subscribing. I think tomorrow looks to be a fairly profitable day, which will mean that we're right on course to end the week in, I suppose, a nice profit at the end of the day. So yeah, thanks very much, and if you're going to be having a bet tomorrow, the very best of luck.